Now, Saquon Barkley has not been paid yet, and he has yet to sign his franchise tender. And a lot of NFL fans are a little bit upset that Daniel Jones was paid handsomely before Saquon Barkley. And I did a poll a couple of days ago, well, the other day, and I asked you guys, do the New York Giants make the playoffs without Saquon Barkley? And 129 of you guys voted, and overwhelmingly, 89% of you folks said no, and only 11% said yes. And I feel the same way that the majority of you guys do. I think that Daniel Jones did have a really good season. I'm not trying to discredit Daniel Jones, and what I'm about to say isn't me hating on Daniel Jones. But if Saquon, you take him off last year's Giants team, you already didn't have a good group of wide receivers. You didn't have a consistent offensive line. And really the only elite dynamic playmaker that was on your offense in 2022 was Saquon. And during the first part of the season, you were relying heavily on Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley is arguably the most talented running back in the NFL. He's on the same level of Christian McCaffrey. You look at what he's able to do in the passing game, what he's able to do when he gets the ball in his hands. He's exceptional at getting yards after contact. This dude is arguably the most talented back in the NFL. And even though the running back position isn't as important as it used to be, when it comes to Saquon Barkley's impact on the New York Giants, you take him off that Giant squad last year, and they probably don't make it to the postseason. You see, just because the running back position doesn't mean as much as it used to be, doesn't mean that you still can't have good enough running backs that are good enough to win you 2-3 games. You see, that's what a lot of people get misconstrued. They confuse positional value with how good a player actually is. Sometimes you do have players who actually exceed positional value, and that is Saquon Barkley. You just don't find another Saquon Barkley on trees. Saquon Barkley was drafted in the first round for a reason. There aren't too many running backs that get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. When you get drafted in the first round, that means that you are a generational talent at that position. Daniel Jones, we know what he is. This dude is a very good quarterback, but prior to the arrival of Brian Daboll, he wasn't that good, and I do understand that coaching matters, but we only got one season of Daniel Jones playing at a serviceable level. Maybe two if you want to count his rookie season. Saquon Barkley, on the other hand, outside of his ability to be on the field, you only really question, can he stay healthy? So if it comes to deciding who's more important to the New York Giants' success, I gotta go with Saquon Barkley. You take Saquon off last year's Giants team, I doubt they make it to the postseason. And like I said, you can say, JT, like, you can find a good running back anywhere. You can, but you can't find a Saquon Barkley. You can't find a Josh Jacobs. You can't find a Christian McCaffrey everywhere. You take Christian McCaffrey off last year's 49ers team, do they still have the same success as what they did? You see, every team, how they built their offense is different. Tennessee, you remove Derrick Henry off that football squad, they have no identity. Derrick Henry is the heart and soul of the Tennessee Titans. When you think about the Tennessee Titans, you think about Derrick Henry. And when you think about the New York Giants, I really think about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was getting a lot of touches early last year. And with him being so good right out the gate for the Giants, it was forcing defenses to key in on him. And when defenses started keying in on Saquon, what happened? You started getting Daniel Jones having more better looks with the football when it came to how he was good running the ball. You take out Saquon Barkley out that equation, defenses can just key in on Daniel Jones' rushing ability and force him to beat them inside the pocket, which he is a pretty good deep ball thrower and he is a really talented QB. But I do think that there's a certain ceiling that Daniel Jones has. I think that this dude is a really phenomenal, athletic game manager who occasionally can step up and have some big time performances. But many people make it seem like Daniel Jones had nobody last season and he was carrying the New York Giants. And if you take Saquon Barkley off last year's squad, the Giants don't make it to the postseason. I'm going to show the poll once again. 89% of you folks said that the Giants wouldn't be a playoff team without Saquon Barkley. And yeah, the Giants have more talent this season. You got Darren Waller, you signed Paris Campbell, you drafted Jalen Hyatt. But you can find a quarterback who can give you Daniel Jones kind of production. Where do you rank Daniel Jones among NFL QBs? Is this dude a top 10 quarterback? Many of you guys probably going to say no. You're probably going to say JT going into this season, he's probably a top 12, top 15 QB. But you see, quarterbacks that are in that top 12, top 15, 18 range are elevated by the coaching and the talent around them. Elite quarterbacks, however, elevate the team around them and elevate the guy calling the plays. The Chargers last season went to the postseason mainly due to Justin Herbert with all the injuries they had. That's what an elite quarterback does. He elevates the play of your team. He elevates the guy calling the plays. The guy calling the plays looks better with a guy like Justin Herbert at quarterback. The receivers around him look better with Justin Herbert throwing them the football. And for the New York Giants, yes, Daniel Jones was able to be effective, not having a great team around him, but that was more due so to Brian Daboll and how good of a coach he was, how he was able to scheme things up. Saquon Barkley, this dude is good regardless where you put him. He was still producing when the New York Giants weren't great. And if you put him on the worst team in the NFL, he's still going to produce. This dude was balling with really inconsistent offensive line play. The same excuses that people use for why Daniel Jones was held back a little bit last year, you can say those same reasons when it comes to Saquon Barkley's play. If Saquon Barkley was playing behind the offensive line that they have up in Kansas City, he probably could have came close to rushing for damn near 2,000 yards. So if you put Saquon Barkley on any other team in the NFL, he's going to elevate them. Meanwhile, how many other teams can you say Daniel Jones would make better? That's my whole point. That's my whole principle of this. You see, when it comes to positional value at the running back position, yes, we know that you can find good running backs, but you can't find elite running backs just everywhere. Guys like Saquon Barkley do not grow on trees. There's a reason why Atlanta drafted Bijan Robinson inside of the top 10. There's a reason why Chris McCaffrey got drafted inside the top 10. There's a reason why Saquon Barkley got drafted inside of the top 10. Same thing with Ezekiel Elliott. You don't find elite running backs everywhere. And when you do find one, they are a super weapon when you find out how to properly utilize them. Saquon Barkley is universal. You put him on any NFL team, he's going to ball out. If Daniel Jones would have hit free agency, how many teams do you think would have paid him the same contract that the New York Giants gave him? You think that the Washington Commanders would have paid Daniel Jones that money? Do you think that the Raiders would have paid Daniel Jones that money? I'm just saying, when it comes to who's more important to the New York Giants' success, I think if you take Saquon Barkley off this team, they have 3 wins less. Stop trying to equate positional value to how good a player actually is. Saquon Barkley deserves to get paid. Stop making it seem like Daniel Jones carried the New York Giants. He didn't. He had Saquon. If he had no Saquon, they would have had no elite threats on that offense last season. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, who's more important? I think the answer has to be Saquon. Defenses, they key in on him. Once he stopped getting going and defenses started to take away the run game, they had another extension of the run game with Daniel Jones. Not every team is built the same. Some teams are built through their run game. Some teams are built through their running backs. And other teams are dependent on the play of their quarterback. But do you really mean to tell me that Daniel Jones is the kind of quarterback who can carry you throughout a 17-game regular season with not a great team around him? I don't think so. And I think that a lot of Giants fans are just trying to get excited about Daniel Jones and trying to gas this man up because of recency bias. Yes, he had a really good season last year, and you did give this man time around him, but the division got tougher, the schedule got tougher. Let's see what he does this year. Can he repeat that performance? You remember Blake Bortles when the Jags went all the way to the AFC Championship game and they paid him? Look how that turned out. There's been plenty of one-hit wonders. I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is a bum, but what I am saying is that I think that a lot of people are kind of overrating Daniel Jones' value to the New York Giants and not giving Saquon Barkley enough props for what he means to this team. You take Saquon Barkley off this Giants team last season, they don't make it to the postseason. And even this year, if Saquon Barkley doesn't play, I doubt that you're going to get that same level of running back performance out of a guy like a Matt Breida. Not hating on Daniel Jones, I'm just calling it how I see it, man. And 89% of you guys agree with me. Saquon Barkley, if the Giants make it to the postseason, it's going to be because of him having a really big impact on this offense. But without Saquon Barkley, this is a completely different team.